The $100,000 job trap. What's really being automated? Start with the work that actually fills a $100,000 calendar. Slicing data into weekly narratives, shepherding projects through checklists, reconciling spreadsheets, writing summaries for people who won't read the full deck, massaging forecasts to match guidance, and aligning stakeholders through email threads that never end. It's repeatable, analytical, and sits in the middle layer between strategy and execution. That's the target. AI doesn't fire a job on Monday. It eats tasks on Tuesday, then the headcount follows on Wednesday. The payroll code changes last because optics matter, but the substance changes first. A model drafts the market recap, another builds the visual, a workflow routes approvals, an agent pings vendors and chases updates. A summarizer turns a 5-page brief into 3 bullet points your VP will skim in the Uber. What's left looks like work, but it's the leftovers. Auditing outputs, escalating exceptions, responding to the quick question with a link to the dashboard someone already has. Here's the trick that catches smart people: the busyness illusion. After automation, your calendar fills because you're handling the corner cases. You feel important because the pings don't stop. Meanwhile, the organization sees your function as stabilized. Leadership reads the productivity graph and asks a simple question. If the machine drafts, routes, and compiles, why does this layer still cost this much? The answer used to be judgment. But the artifacts of judgment, decks, memos, one-pagers, now look identical whether a human started them or a model did. Perception shifts before policy does. Compensation compression follows. Output per person climbs, budgets don't. Pay bands freeze, pending market calibration. Performance rubrics tilt toward measurable throughput. More tickets closed, more insights shipped, faster cycles. Those metrics flatter machines and punish human judgment because judgment resists scoring. So the mid-layer gets squeezed from both ends. Senior leadership keeps the people who own decisions. Frontline specialists keep the work that requires physical presence or license sign-off. The middle loses its moat because its advantage was speed and scale of analysis, which AI now rents for cheap. Why managers and analysts go first makes brutal sense inside a spreadsheet. The value story for a mid-level manager: coordination, reporting, translation, maps to software. Standing meetings become asynchronous workflows. Status updates become auto-summaries. Tell me what I need to know becomes a query with role-based context. You still need someone to decide, but fewer someones to prepare the decision. Analysts face a similar cliff. For standardized data, models already handle cleaning, joining, charting, and even basic inference at a level that passes the meeting. The human edge used to be speed under deadline. Speed is now a commodity. Meanwhile, a frontline nurse, a site superintendent, a field adjuster, or a licensed broker sits closer to reality. Variability lives there. Physical nuance, regulation, and human emotion resist tidy prompts. That's why the middle gets trimmed before the tip or the base. Owners won't fire the person who signs the risk or the person whose hands do the work. They'll compress the layer that stitches slides between them. Now about task versus job. People hear, AI won't replace your job. It will replace tasks as comfort. Inside a budget, it's the opposite. If 40% of a role's tasks are automated and the remainder can be redistributed, the job becomes a rounding error. If 70% is automated and the rest is exceptions, you get an efficiency realignment. The point isn't whether AI can do everything you do. It's whether AI can do enough of it that the renewal case for your seat gets weak. When your renewal case is weak, you become project-based headcount, not a role. Projects end. Then there's the optics game. Leadership needs a story for Wall Street and the board. Training spend sounds humane and strategic. We're investing in our people to unlock AI productivity. Internally, the finance model counts the gains first. Larger spans of control, fewer layers, same or better output. It's not personal, it's arithmetic. Upskilling, framed as a shield, becomes a bridge that carries your workflows to the machine. The certificate proves you helped build the bridge. Get this, more dashboards don't mean more judgment. They can mean less, because abundance kills attention. When every meeting opens with 10 perfect charts, nobody asks the uncomfortable question: should this exist at all? The $100,000 trap isn't ignorance, it's excellence at the wrong thing. Optimizing a repeatable process in a world that now rents repeatability. The instinct to refine, streamline, and report becomes the reason your layer looks optional. You prove the process doesn't need you. Share this with one teammate who still equates dashboards with influence. If they feel seen, they'll watch the rest, and they'll forward it to the person who signs their review. This is also where incentives quietly twist. Managers responsible for headcount are rewarded for throughput per dollar. If your team's productivity jumps after AI rollout, your own argument for expansion dies. Your reward is a congratulatory note and a hiring freeze. Hold that thought, it matters later. If you're listening from a $75,000 to $150,000 chair, here's the simple diagnostic. Do you mostly transform inputs into artifacts other people read? Do your wins show up as systems that make you less necessary? When your best day produces a template any competent person can run, you're on the wrong side of the curve. The roles that survive own ambiguity, not artifacts. So who benefits from the upskilling story that tells you the opposite? That more tools equal more security, that certificates equal leverage, that dashboards equal influence? While you were mastering the platform, someone else was mastering the plan. And that plan pays them twice. The upskilling sales machine. Follow the money. Upskilling isn't a social good, it's a market with quotas. Software vendors need adoption metrics to renew enterprise deals. EdTech platforms need seat licenses, completion rates, and case studies. Internal academies need budget justifications and glossy dashboards. Colleges need relevance haze, non-credit certificates that sound like promotions. Everyone upstream gets paid when you enroll. Your security becomes their sales funnel. What these programs actually teach is tool fluency, not leverage. You learn where the buttons live, how to prompt, how to drag a workflow block into a canvas. You ship more artifacts. You don't gain authority over decisions, budgets, or risk. The curriculum is built around features because features are easy to measure. Judgment is hard to measure and harder to teach. So it's skipped or it's repackaged as capstone projects that still grade outputs, not outcomes. KPI theater turns learning into optics. Completions, badges, hours logged. These numbers glow on an exec slide. 87% of the org is now AI-enabled. Enabled to do what exactly? The story stops short of capability delta. Which decisions got better, which margins expanded, which risks dropped, which cycles shortened without degrading quality. Those are messy to attribute, so they rarely appear. What does appear is a before-after chart of artifacts per person. That graph becomes the cover story for what finance already planned. Budget optics make it palatable. Training spend is booked as investment in people. It buys goodwill during the quarters when headcount lines taper. You see learning journeys, while procurement signs multi-year platform agreements with usage minimums. The RFP language calls for transformation, self-serve analytics, and citizen development. Translation: move the work from specialized humans to standardized workflows, then remove the surplus humans. The invoice is clear, the calendar invites rollout, the narrative reads humane. Here's a quiet tell. Most upskilling programs are tool first, domain second. They don't start with a P&L, a claim file, a safety incident, a failed deal. They start with a feature tour. That's because the sponsors aren't your customers, they're your vendors. When a curriculum is paid for by the platform becomes the hero. The business problem becomes a demo dataset. You leave fluent in the button clicks that make your own role easier to automate. Let's ground it in a case. A cohort of 60 completes a 12-week academy, prompts, automation canvases, a crash in Python, and responsible AI. The showcase day is slick. Demos whir. Dashboards sing. 2 weeks later, the COO announces a hiring pause to capture productivity gains. Quarter end, HR announces a strategic realignment, consolidating reporting into a shared service. 30 roles collapse into 18. The slide cites remarkable efficiency unlocked by our AI investment. The certificates hang on home office walls next to severance envelopes. Nobody lied. The order of operations just wasn't said out loud. Inside the paperwork, the timing was obvious. Procurement issued the RFP months before the academy launched. The scope included automation of the very tasks the cohort enhanced. The transformation dashboard tracked usage minutes, not margin points. The vendor tied renewal discounts to active users. Adoption begets budget. Budget begets cuts. The loop closes while everyone smiles about learning. Why does the story sell so well? It flatters both sides. Workers hear hope. You're not obsolete, you're evolving. Leaders get cover. We're not cutting, we're investing. Vendors get proof. Our platform changes culture. The only missing piece is ownership of outcomes. Who owns a decision after the training? Who owns the risk when the model hallucinates? Who signs the accountable memo when automation fails? Those names don't come from a certificate. There's also the comfort of being busy. It feels good to progress through modules, to see a badge appear, to post a hashtagged update about leveling up. It's concrete in a foggy time, but busy doesn't equal sovereign. If you're learning tools without owning a decision, you're becoming interchangeable faster. If you're shipping more outputs without negotiating how those outputs change a KPI that funds your seat, you're decorating a room that's being downsized. Get this, none of this says don't learn. It says learn in the order that compounds. Start from leverage. Ask which problems your customers or executives will pay to make go away. Map the decision, the risk, the trade-offs, the failure modes. Then back into the minimal stack that helps you deliver that outcome faster with fewer errors. The platform becomes a means, not your identity. Your certificate becomes a footnote on a memo that moved money. One more human moment. A director tells their team, "This academy will future-proof you." They mean it. They believe it. They were briefed that training is the path to safety because that's what the slide said. They also carry a span of control target they didn't design. When the cuts land, they'll tell you they fought for your seat. They probably did. Incentives won anyway. So if upskilling is the showroom, what sells after the test drive? The roles that survive aren't the fastest prompt engineers. They're the ones who own ambiguity, set the rules, and hold the pen on decisions that carry risk. To see what that looks like in practice, we have to talk about the work AI can't easily commoditize. Two moats, strategy and human connection. Start with uncertainty, because that's where the machine blinks. Strategy lives in fog. When the data is incomplete, the incentives conflict, and a wrong call hurts real people. AI can simulate certainty. It can't carry blame. Surviving roles take that weight. They choose a direction with imperfect inputs, stake a reputation, and write the memo that explains why. That memo isn't a recap. It's a bet with consequences. Strategy isn't speed. It's synthesis, pulling threads from finance, operations, psychology, law, and the market, then weaving a path other people can follow. You won't win by prompting 10 models for 10 summaries. You win by seeing the pattern none of those summaries name, because it sits between the lines. When you can explain how a pricing tweak distorts sales behavior, shifts support load, and triggers regulatory scrutiny 2 quarters later, you're not faster, you're compounding. Taste and trust are scarce by design. A model can propose a brand voice. It can't be a brand anyone believes. That belief comes from a track record of good calls under pressure. It's why a single sentence from a trusted operator moves a board, while a 50-page AI deck gets skimmed. Scarcity creates a moat. You can copy a template. You can't copy credibility earned across messy cycles. Now the second moat, deep human connection. Negotiation isn't a logic problem. It's a temperature problem. You're reading breath, timing silence, trading concessions that preserve face. In complex enterprise sales, people buy the reduction of risk, the promise of continuity, and the feeling that you'll show up when it breaks. Models can draft the proposal. You close the gap between fear and commitment. Care work embodies this too. A nurse calming a family isn't delivering information. They're modulating panic, establishing trust, and guiding choices in grief. A coach confronting a founder's blind spot isn't reciting a framework. They're earning permission to land a hard truth. The words matter less than the felt sense that you're safe with them. That's not promptable. It's practiced in rooms where stakes are personal. Physical nuance ties the moats together. High variability skilled trades, restoring a historic facade, diagnosing a bizarre mechanical failure, adjusting a prosthetic, demand hands, eyes, and judgment in context. Procedures help. Experience decides. The value isn't the checklist. It's knowing when the checklist doesn't fit this building, this patient, this machine. That discretion is strategy at ground level. Here's where both moats meet: economics, value pricing. If you sell outputs or hours, AI underbids you every time. If you price outcomes, reduced churn, faster clearance, fewer adverse events, you decouple your income from the number of keystrokes. Owners pay for risk moved off their plate and for decisions that hold up in the sunlight. That's strategy plus trust knitted into a contract. What does this look like inside a company? a product lead who owns the roadmap trade-offs and defends them to angry customers, and is right often enough to be believed. A head of compliance who writes guardrails the business can actually run through, then defends them when regulators knock. A regional manager who can walk a job site, spot the two silent risks that will eat margin, and reroute both crews and capital by 5 p.m. They orchestrate, yes, but more importantly, they absorb responsibility. Meanwhile, tool Fluency becomes a lever, not a label. You don't do AI. You run a process that closes a gap, using AI where it shortens time to clarity. You keep the human moments for the rooms that matter. The escalation call, the renegotiation, the apology that keeps a contract alive. You let the model handle drafts and detection. You hold the pen for decisions and tone. A quick microstory. A procurement lead renegotiates a supplier after a defect batch. The model drafts the data pack and flags alternative vendors. The human walks into the meeting, reads the room, opens with a shared problem frame, offers a face-saving concession tied to a longer contract, and secures both a discount and tighter QA. The AI made the argument sharp. The human made it land. Notice the pattern: judgment at the edge, empathy at the center. You're choosing among bad options, then carrying people through the choice. That's why these moats don't scale the way tools do. You can't mass-produce trust without diminishing it. You can't mass-produce blame-taking without diluting accountability. Scarcity keeps the price high. So, if you're mapping your path, ask 2 questions. 1. Where in your world do decisions with incomplete information create or destroy dollars? 2. Where do humans feel exposed financially, legally, emotionally? And who do they turn to when the stakes rise? Move toward those intersections. Build receipts there. The shift isn't noble, it's practical. When AI floods the floor with competent drafts, your edge moves upstream to framing the problem and downstream to carrying the outcome. That is strategy plus human connection. That's the corridor with fewer chairs, but sturdier legs. And if you need a compass inside an org chart, watch who gets called in when the data disagrees, the lawyers worry, and a customer is about to walk. Follow that call. Case study: the manager who optimized himself out. Jordan was a mid-level operations lead, the dependable kind who could untangle a broken workflow without making enemies. His team's week was a conveyor belt: intake, prioritization, routing, approvals, reporting. The pain was manual triage and status drift. So Jordan built the fixes. He piloted a queuing agent that tagged requests by risk and revenue. He wired auto reminders to chase blockers. He trained a summarizer to draft weekly updates in the exact cadence the VP liked. The first quarter after rollout, cycle times dropped by 38%. Ticket aging flattened. Everyone clapped. The CFO noticed the slope. A hiring request held on the docket for 2 months got quietly deferred pending productivity review. The reasoning wasn't cruel, it was arithmetic. With cycle time down and work visibly in control, headcount pressure needed a better story. Jordan was proud. He brought the metrics to the all-hands and framed them as a win. He wasn't wrong. But the win moved leverage up a floor he didn't own. Workload didn't shrink, it concentrated. The AI handled clean routes. The team got exceptions, weird integrations, compliance flags, angry partner escalations. Jordan shifted his attention to edge case triage. He kept building. An approval policy parser, a rules engine for low-dollar decisions, a dashboard that forecasted risk spikes from seasonality. Each success tightened the loop. Each loop made the routine more automatic, and the remaining human work looked more specialized, not necessarily more strategic. Quarterly review arrived with new OKRs. Strategy initiatives slid down the list. Output metrics climbed. Responses within SLA, backlog under threshold, auto-resolution rate. Jordan argued for time to address structural issues upstream. Work intake policy, incentive-driven noise, misaligned targets with sales. The response was cordial. After this quarter, we're in a productivity window. He left the room with a smile and a list of numbers. It felt like progress. It was constraint dressed as praise. The hiring freeze turned into a span of control conversation. Org design consultants modeled layers. 1 exec, 2 directors, 8 managers, 60 ICs. With automation handling standard flow and summaries providing roll-ups, the model suggested 7 managers could do the coordination with wider spans. Fewer meetings, more dashboards. HR's language was neutral. to reduce coordination friction and empower ICs. Jordan's name moved into a new column labeled Potential Redundancy. The spreadsheet didn't know him. It knew ratios. The reorg memo landed on a Tuesday. We're consolidating operations leadership to streamline decision velocity. Jordan's team stayed, their work didn't. Their new manager inherited 2 extra pods, a larger span, and a mandate to hit higher auto-resolution targets. Jordan got the call from HR, then a 15-minute exit with his VP that wasn't cold, just exhausted. The VP said the lines they always say, "We're grateful, we wouldn't have gotten here without you." Both sentences were true. In the aftermath, the surviving team's calendar looked brutal. Exceptions multiplied because anything unusual now waited longer for eyes. Politics surfaced. Who owned failure modes the AI couldn't categorize? Compliance wanted tighter guardrails. Sales wanted more flexibility. ICs, now empowered, found that empowerment meant they were the ones absorbing customer heat on edge cases. Burnout risk rose because the soothing repetition was gone. Only the stressful puzzles remained, without slack or air cover. Jordan sat at his kitchen table with a severance packet and a portfolio full of wins that made him less necessary. He kept thinking about a sentence from a finance partner months earlier. "If this works, we'll finally be right-sized." He had nodded. He now understood what it meant. He hadn't made a mistake in the craft. He had mispriced the trade. He gave away the narrative while he built the machine. 2 weeks later, he pivoted. He called the compliance lead who'd always pinged him on tricky exceptions. He pitched a contract, exception handling playbooks for regulated requests, coupled with an escalation on-call retainer. He didn't sell dashboards. He sold reduced regulatory exposure and time to clear for revenue-blocking cases. His first deliverable wasn't a tool. It was a memo that defined thresholds, authority levels, rollback steps, and audit trails. The VP signed because the risk sat on their desk. That shift changed the math. Jordan still used AI. He built detectors, drafts, and runbooks. But the price was tied to outcomes under uncertainty, not artifacts. When a novel request hit, he took the call, made the recommendation, wrote the accountable note, and stood behind it. His receipts weren't screenshots. They were decisions that survived audit. Inside his old company, the loop tightened further.